Hello, Norm.
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
I'm doing all right.
Did you watch the debate last night?
Of course I did.
I mean, I don't know if it was more sad or more hopeful. I guess it depends on how you look at it.
Well, Trump immediately kind of set the tone with a professional note. He wasn't personal. He didn't do his normal attacks or name calling, and that's a big turnoff for a lot of people.
That's right. He was probably more restrained in that debate, and I know that his advisors have been telling him, don't go out there and just attack him because it'll make it look like you're picking on the old man.
Yes, yes.
And it would have. I mean,
there was actually a satire story in the Babylon Bee already about how Trump murders an old man on a.
Yeah, it was really. It's hard to feel bad for Biden because he is an evil person. But at the same time, you just don't like to see another human being suffer.
Right.
And it's clear. I mean, it is clear that guy needs to be somewhere in a rocking chair where he can enjoy his twilight years because he's definitely in them.
Yeah. It was, on the one hand, it was, if you're a Trump fan, you feel pretty good about it all.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm not a Biden fan.
No.
So I can't say how a Biden supporter feels today. I've got no idea.
Well,
but they're twofold of the people that are the Biden fans.
Right.
You have the Biden fans that know that he's been struggling with elderly symptoms.
Right.
And then you have the others that have been in denial and believing that, he's sharp as a tack, he's ready to go, he just fumbles every now and then.
It's his childhood stutter.
Yes. But so if you believe that everything was okay and then you watch the debate, what was your thought of his competency?
I
mean, if you would be shocked if you thought that he was competent all along, and then you see how he actually is, you would be shocked.
If you had been drinking the Kool-Aid, living in the gaslight, if you've been buying all that they've been selling you for the past almost 4 years now, then that would have been a just utterly shocking display last night. I mean, we've known.
Yes.
We've known because we get the alternative media and we see people telling the truth about what's going on. And so we've known.
Yes.
I mean, the way Biden's condition last night was no shock to us.
No.
We've known that for a long time. But there's a lot of people that, like I said, have been just buying the line, hook, line, and sinker, that last night it was on full display. It couldn't be hidden.
Right.
It was on CNN of all places.
Yeah. And even they didn't try to spin it because it was so bad afterwards. So it's...
There was a couple of times that Jake Tapper came in at the end of one of Biden's rambles.
Right.
And you could tell that he was just in dismay over what was happening. And he would just kind of, in a very subdued, almost depressive kind of way, thank you, Mr. President. I mean, what could you say? I mean, what could you, how could you possibly spin that to put a positive light on it?
The split screen said it all.
It was horrible.
I mean, when Trump would be saying something and then you saw what Biden's reaction to it is, and I think that's the most tell-all is his reaction, because it's obvious that he was shocked by the information that he was getting from Trump.
Yeah.
That was, and so that makes a statement to me about his cognitive ability, is if you you're not going to be shocked by what the other person says if you know everything that's going on. But if you don't know, and then you see how Biden comes across, it would.
When Biden brought up the lie, just the blatant lie about Trump calling military suckers and losers in Paris. And Trump's like, why would I even do? I mean, that's already been debunked.
Yeah. Yes,
and why would I even do? What would be the possible reason that I would even do that? And Biden, I seriously thought, as dementia sufferers will do, I seriously thought Biden was going to shamble across the stage and take a swing at Trump. Because did you see how he had his teeth gritted and he said, "You're the loser, you're the sucker," like that.
But I honestly think that the hate that he has for Trump has been ingrained in him by the people around him.
Yeah.
I don't think Biden is a overall a hateful, angry person. But then again, I don't know him. but the way that he came across in the video made him seem just inept.
Like I said, it's hard to feel bad for Biden because his entire career he's been a horrible racist, just a mean, nasty person. He's the reason that borked is an expression. He was the one that did it.
He was the ringleader on the board.
Absolutely. And I mean, just how nasty he was. You go back and you watch that footage. When was that? In the early 80s? Which, that he was there in the early 80s ought to tell you something right there. But he's always been just a horrible racist, just a mean, nasty politician. And so it's really hard to feel bad for somebody just that evil. But you see this just withering old man on stage that can't put together coherent thoughts. And it's, a lot of the media is calling it what it is, elder abuse. I mean, his handlers, his family, his wife, they're guilty of elder abuse, putting this guy out there, letting him suffer like that, and just make himself a complete mockery, even more so than he already was. I mean, it's really, really horrible.
Well,
really horrible.
It's not in the nature of evil to be fair.
Absolutely. Or compassionate.
Right. Yes.
It's really bad. And I don't know if you got the indication of it or not, but did it seem at times that Trump actually felt bad for Biden? Like what I'm talking about,
right,
it's hard to feel
right,
bad for the guy, but at
right,
the same time, if there was a crippled in a wheelchair that had just been really mean and nasty to me their whole life, I still wouldn't walk up to him in the wheelchair and smack him.
Right. Right.
So that's kind of the impression I got from Trump is, I really don't want to beat on this guy.
Yeah. It was the matchup wasn't fair.
Absolutely.
And I think it was obvious that Trump recognized that it's not fair. This guy shouldn't even be here. This shouldn't even be taking place.
That's right. And 100% true, 100% accurate.
Yes.
Yes. Putting Trump and Biden in a debate together is like, and I think I heard somebody make this comparison, is like Mike Tyson boxing a kindergartner. It was that bad. Did you see the left reaction to the debate?
Somewhat. I didn't. We had some drama going on at the house, so I couldn't stay up afterwards too much and get the spin room.
Oh, they are in a meltdown.
Yeah. Well, I've followed up since, and I was actually surprised at the patience of some of the quote right-leaning websites. Mm-hmm. I was actually surprised that they didn't pounce faster than they did.
Right.
And I was actually surprised with the restraint that press that they didn't, like you said, you're beating up an old man.
Right. Yeah.
That's
one of the quote conspiracy theories that I heard prior to the debate was that the handlers, those on the left, Biden's circle, was even letting him do the debate so that they could use it as an excuse to take him off the ticket for the 24 election. And after last night, and the way that the left, prominent people on the left, immediately reacted to the debate, kind of makes me think that was right. That you know, I think in the next...
It was either sink or swim.
Right.
Right.
I would not be at all surprised if in the next few days we don't see some serious movement in the effort to replace Biden on the ticket.
More dangerous than that, to me though, is that if you're a foreign country and you see a future election and you see that you have an old man who's incompetent, not up for the job, literally can't do the job, and then you see somebody else, Trump, who's rather stalwart,
right,
and I won't say rigid, but he does what he believes is right. He'll listen to others' opinion, sure, but in the end, he's going to go by what he thinks is the right thing to do.
Right.
And he also did manage to keep things relatively stable in the international community when he was president.
Absolutely.
But given the fact that he is now the highly favored winner for the election in November, what action are you going to take as a head of a foreign country in the next few months before you get somebody strong in office?
If you're
to me, it's now the most dangerous time of my lifetime politically and in the international field of.
You're right. Yeah, I agree 100%. You know, if you're China, looking at that debate last night, which I mean, and they've known this, but looking at that debate last night, and you're saying, okay, there's no way this guy wins the election. Trump is going to get reelected. And so if we're going to move on Taiwan, if we're going to, if we're going to do these actions that is going to bring a lot of international heat, we need to do it now while the United States is a lame duck.
Yes.
You know, because this is the person who's running the United States right now. Supposedly, this is the person who is, you know, the commander in chief of the you know,
free world in theory,
right? Of the part of the United States that we really need to worry about, the military, right? And so we need to act now, while the commander in chief is this incompetent old man. Because when Trump gets in, Trump will react, and he'll react strongly. And same thing with Russia. And Trump was that was one of the best points that Trump made, is that under Bush, Putin took land.
Yep.
Under Obama, Putin took land.
Yep.
Under Biden, Putin took land.
Yep.
Is taking land.
Yes.
Going to take the whole country of Ukraine if, you know.
Yeah, if he can.
If he can.
Yes.
Under Trump, not an inch.
No.
No. Not even a parking lot.
No. and I do believe that the people that know Trump, when Trump says that we have a good relationship, what he means is he has a good business relationship with the other party.
And not only that.
Right. It's a professional interaction.
He's respected.
Right. Yes.
Putin doesn't respect Biden.
No.
Who does?
Yeah. I mean, he laughs. I've got no idea. I mean, I've got no doubt that they watch stuff that Biden does and laugh.
That's right.
Literally laugh. But this is not a funny time at all. This is terrifying. We have such threats internationally, and right now there's nobody there.
Right.
It's asleep at the wheel right now. Now, I've always thought this, that supposedly, you know, China and other nefarious countries hacked Hillary's server. Mm-hmm. So they and this is Secretary of State. Mm-hmm. So when they took all those islands, Hillary might have very well emailed somebody and said, no, we're not going to do anything.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. But with Trump, he had the element of surprise. You weren't sure exactly.
He had the element of uncertainty.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
We know that the left's not going to do anything, so we can get away with whatever we want, right? I mean, like you said, Hillary may have been emailing them, and we'll never know that.
Right. We're not emailing them, but she could have said something to some,
they
Obama.
intercepted emails saying, let's not get involved, or let's not respond, or whatever.
Yes.
And so they're like, okay, well, let's go get it then. Right. But with Trump, I think Putin honestly believed that if he moved on Ukraine when Trump was president, that
there would be consequences.
Trump would have hit Moscow.
Yes, there would have been consequences. Yes.
Absolutely. And so, with the wild man card, that Trump had, they didn't want to try him.
No.
And they respected him.
Yes.
They have no respect whatsoever for this current administration, and who would?
No. Well, the thing is, they might have a relationship. They see him as a colleague. They see Biden as a colleague. China, he's associated with them. He's their friend.
Oh, well, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know about colleague, maybe stooge, or
I don't know. It may very well be colleague. They're in business together. I mean, that's
subordinate, maybe. Like he'll do what we tell him
because we have this information on him.
Right. See, that's the thing about You asked the question about how does somebody like Biden get to the presidency? Well, who would foreign actors want in that position, that highest political position in the United States? Who would they want in that position more than somebody that they had dirt on, that they could blackmail, that they could manipulate and say, you better do what we want. You better do these things that are in our favor, or else all of this stuff's going to come out. Right?
Right, yes.
And they accused Trump of all these Russian conspiracies and Russian involvement in the election. And
the moderators couldn't call it a lie now.
Right, that's right.
When Trump was stating the facts of what had happened in his first term, what actually happened, the real facts, the moderators last time argued with it.
Right.
They didn't argue with it.
Right. Trump reacted perfectly when Biden said, there's only one of us on the stage that's a convicted felon, and they had the split screen, and Trump reacted perfectly.
He did.
Just was like, yeah.
I thought so too.
Because everyone knows that it was a total show trial.
Yes.
There was
done completely out of bias and injustice.
Now later he did say that right. I'm under all these indictments and stuff because I'm this man's political rival.
Right.
That this is his kind of politics. Right?
Yes.
And so he did bring it up later, but when Biden said that was the best reaction he could have done. Is just I'm a convicted felon.
And so is your son, and right. You could be too here shortly. Which is that's entirely the case. Yeah. Now, the press took a big hit because it showed, once again, everybody their failure. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are supposed to be the watchdogs. They are supposed to be telling us the truth. And it's obvious by what we have seen that they have been lying. Right. So once you determine that somebody is lying, you then start questioning everything in your history, of engaging with that person.
That's right.
So if we now see that the antiquated press has been lying to us the whole time about this, mm-hmm. So what else are they lying to us about? That's what right. other information? And I've always said the most dishonest thing the antiquated press does is silence. It's mm-hmm. the stories they don't tell. That's it's right. the things that they choose to hide. And this is what hiding has done to us. This That's is right. that.
That's one of the things that Vivek Ramaswamy brought out, and I would love to see him as the VP pick. I really loved his campaign in the primaries.
Yes.
And that's one of the things he kept saying is that, the things that the country is suffering with right now all of the division, all of the things going on with the lack of trust, the breakdown in
lack of unity,
civility, and the breakdown in law enforcement, all of it. Mm-hmm. It's all the result of a untrustworthy media.
Yes.
That the people can't trust the media to tell them the truth.
Yes.
And they're acting like that. They're acting like you look at the things that are going on and just kind of break it down on a psychological level, on a behavioral science level, and what is it? It's how people act when they are in an environment without trust, right? That's something we need.
Yes.
That's part of our human nature, right?
Yes.
We need to feel like we can trust our surrounding, that we have a degree of safety and trust.
Right.
And when that's not there, we behave in a certain way. And that's the way society is behaving right now. Because we're not in an environment where we can trust the information we're receiving.
No. And you have the result of that, which is if you opposite of trust is paranoia.
That's right.
And so you don't trust or believe the press. You don't, and obviously it also shows the dishonesty of this administration hiding the truth from us intentionally. So you have that also. Mm-hmm. So when you have all this distrust, the opposite of that is paranoia.
Right.
Okay. And then they tell it's almost like they want everybody to buy guns now. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, I honestly believe that they want them to be used in the future in a chaotic manner so that they can then justify taking them away.
Right.
So
that raises another question that I've seen a lot of people ask, and this doesn't really have anything to do with the debate, but the environment we're in. Why is it all of a sudden that the approval time for suppressors has gotten so much quicker than it used to be? Are they putting them through quicker because they want more suppressors out there?
I tend to believe that right now there are fewer people purchasing them, so that slows down the backlog of
right. Okay, so they're kind of caught up. And so
I don't know about that either. I have how many people? They have X number of people working on the applications. Mm-hmm. So you have X number of applications. If you have a whole bunch of it, it backs out. Like you said, huge backlog. But I wonder how much paranoia is in, if there's any of that in people not buying them right now, because you get put into a file.
Right.
And that might be discouraging people right now with such an invasive, dishonest administration. They don't want their name in the file.
Right.
So they might not be selling them or buying them for that reason, where they are under the radar.
Well, that was just something that I've seen on several of the gun channels is, people saying that the applications for the suppressors are going through much quicker than they used to, and so it may be like you said, less people are filing them, and so there's not the backlog that they had. But back to the debate last night. After watching it, I'm more inclined now to think that the theory people had about they were letting not only that they were letting Biden do it, but the timing of it. This is the first. I don't know about the first ever. Maybe first ever, but I know first in a really long time. Pre-convention debate. I mean, the debates don't usually start until after the party conventions, when the nominee is official, right? I mean, we already know it's going to be Trump and Biden. Well, it's going to be Trump.
Well, we hope so. I mean, to me, he just has made himself even a greater risk for assassination now.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I'm for I like there's so much going on. But we supply people to protect the president. We don't do that for Supreme Court justices.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of their decisions that they choose are done out of fear or because of fear.
There was just recently another leak about a decision.
Yeah.
And so, when you start getting leaks from the Supreme Court about decisions that are coming, well, what happened when they leaked the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade? People went to justices' houses.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they were in real danger because of that leak.
Yes.
And so
there was no protection offered, from what I understand. They should have had bodyguards around everybody, and they still should have around all the people in their family. And
what about? I know the executive branch has the Secret Service protection. Right. The Congress, I know they have the Capitol Police,
right?
In the Capitol, but I don't know about when they're out of the Capitol.
Right.
But I guess they have their own private security, or what?
Well, the private security is expensive.
Yeah.
So,
do states provide security for their congressmen, senators, state like the state troopers with the governor? Do the senators from Georgia and the congressmen from Georgia have state troopers that are their security?
I think they can use them in certain situations, but I'm not sure that they are assigned.
But they don't have Secret Service.
No, they don't have Secret Service as such. But that's still a concern to me, is how much of their decision making is done out of self-preservation and fear, because there's one side that is very violent and dangerous.
Yeah, and it gets worse and worse all the time.
Yeah. And they try to put that on the right,
that's kind of what I was getting at with the Russiagate stuff, with Trump, because everything that they've been accusing Trump of,
they're doing,
and talking about Trump being guilty of, and it's like you said, they're projecting that on him. Mm-hmm. They're the worst
Saul Lewinsky
projectors I've ever seen.
Yes.
That stuff you deal with little kids and with dishonest people, is that they project on you what they're guilty of, right?
Right. Yes. Where do you think we would be? What's a better way to put it? Where would we be with an honest press?
I don't think we would be. I don't think that there would be a Biden administration. I don't think that Trump would have been a one-term president, which I hope he's not a one-term president, because he gets a second term. But I don't think there's any way that he would have lost his second term if we had an honest media. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, it depends on how far back you go.
Right.
How far back do you want to go?
With the honest media?
With the honest media.
I was thinking more of the recent past, from like the Obama era forward.
I don't know that we would have gotten to a Trump presidency in the first place if we had an honest media. If we had an actual honest media. Go back to...
Well, we do have honest media now, but it's not the antiquated
legacy
media.
Right. It's the alternative media, right? So where would we be? Which now I guess we're dipping our toe in the waters.
Right. Well, I guess I asked that in opposite. Where would we be without the alternate media? Where would we be if they succeeded in shutting down the websites that are, quote, on the right, which aren't really on the right? They're actually what is true.
Right. I think the alternative media is the only thing still accessible to people that keeps people from losing
any hope.
There's no way that I can find out the actual information. The only thing I ever hear are lies and deception. What am I supposed to do, right? And
you're supposed to. Go ahead.
I think a really dark line of thinking to go down that path.
Dark future, you mean?
Yeah, right. Because I mean, what do people generally do when they're in a situation, just on an individual level?
Right.
When they're in a situation where they feel totally hopeless, there's nobody they can trust, no way to get the true information, to get the truth of the matter, no security, they feel unsafe. How do people react to that?
Well, different people react different ways to that. I mean,
but it's usually not good, right?
Well, I mean, you do have people who see that, and it gives them enough information to know that they have to take care of themselves.
Right. Okay.
So you have a whole bunch of uncertainty in front of you.
So you get some of the people who do the off gridding, and they just disassociate. Say, well, it's all just a pony show anyway, and nobody's telling the truth, and they just disassociate.
Yes,
they go off grid, which that's probably the best case scenario. But then you have a lot of people who get violent and become lawless. And what are we seeing right now? A huge degree of lawlessness. One of the reasons because there's no actual justice.
No, there are no consequences for actions.
Right.
That's if you wanted to stop the shootings that happen in the Democratic big cities that everybody likes to say is all across the board, and same here as elsewhere, but that's not true. There are places where it's definitely more dangerous than others.
Well, back to the question about what would we have if we actually had an honest media that wasn't purposely working to deceive people for the left agenda, right? Go back to George Allen, Virginia, right? Was it honest for that reporter to accuse him of racism because he used the term macaca when he referred to it? You think George Allen knew that macaca was I think it's maybe Hindi, or might even be Telugu, or one of the languages in India, that macaca means monkey, right, and that he was calling him a monkey? Or do you think George Allen was just making up Indian-sounding name, an Indian-sounding word to refer to an Indian reporter that was being unfair to him, right? And George Allen would have had he was, there may be things about him I don't know,
right? But
at that time, he was, one of the conservative, front runners. He could have had a stellar, career, except for that one instance of dishonest journalism, of this journalist saying that he was being purposely racist to me, calling me a monkey. Like George Allen knows in Hindi or Telugu or Tamil or Bengali or how many languages are in India, that in one of these languages in India that macaca means monkey, right?
Right.
You could babble just about any sound out of your face and find a language somewhere on earth that means something in that language, right?
Right.
And so, that's dishonest media. It destroyed his career. I liked him at the time. I don't know, like I said, there may have been things I didn't know. Maybe things came out about him later that I don't know. But at the time, I was for him. I would have, and then that happened, and he just kind of went away. It wrecked him.
Right.
Rick Perry, when Rick Perry was running, I really liked Rick Perry. I thought he would have been good.
Right.
Dishonest journalism just ripped him down and tore him down.
Right.
So that his political career's over.
Right.
And so, it just depends on how far you want to go back. With honest media, if we actually had an honest media.
I wonder how long you'd have to go back to and the thing is that CIA uses our media.
Right.
So
how far we would have to go back to have an actually
independent,
unmanipulated election, right?
Well,
how far would we have to go back to where we had an actually unmanipulated election?
That's a good question. I mean, seriously, I don't know the answer to that. Who does know the answer to that?
I don't know.
Is there ever been one? Is there ever been an actual, completely honest,
unmanipulated election?
I don't know. That's.
But one thing.
It's not this one.
Not this one. No. One thing for sure, though, is that any Democrats still supporting Biden today, after the debate yesterday, right? Whatever excuses they could use up until yesterday, they're all gone. Any Democrats that are still supporting Biden today, they're in on it. They're part of the. They're not honest.
Part of the cabal.
They're right. They're part of the manipulation, propping Biden up, and they're part of the puppet strings behind the scenes. Because there's no way that any honest Democrat could watch that debate last night and say, "Yeah, that's my guy," right?
Right. Well, okay. So he was like he was yesterday. That's not the only time he's like that.
Not.
He's like that the whole time.
But granted, there was a lot of people that would have been their first exposure to it.
Right. Yes. So
right? We've been seeing it.
That's right.
Because we consume alternative media. Right. But for a lot of people that just consume mainstream media, that was their first exposure to it.
Right.
And I mean, you could hear the collective gasp around the country when people actually saw how bad he is.
Right. And understand this. This is after they gave him whatever stimulant they gave him.
Right. But did you notice that he kind of picked up and got better about 20, 30 minutes into the debate? And I heard somebody say they dosed him too close to time. And the drugs hadn't kicked in yet. And because when he came out, I mean, I was shocked. And like we've been saying, I already knew how bad he was. Right. You already knew.
Yeah.
And I was still shocked when he came shambling out on stage. There was no audience. The only people in the room were the moderators. And he's looking out at the darkness behind the moderators like he's waving at people. "Hey, how you doing? Good to see you," while he's coming out.
That's just a habit.
And
because
And
so he's not adaptable to new situations.
That's what I was saying the other day when I said, we've got a president that when the car pulls up somewhere and he gets out of the car, he's not capable of scanning his surroundings and determining where he's supposed to go. No. He has to have somebody guide him to where he's supposed to go. Well, that's what happened when he came walking out last night. He's, hey, how you doing? Like there's an audience there. Right. And I don't know if he thought he was supposed to be pretending there was an audience because, it's all a setup anyway. And that's one of the things about Biden's dementia is he'll kind of let you in to the behind the scenes manipulating.
You mean when he makes comments like, "I can't answer any questions, they'll get mad at me"?
Right, yeah, when he says the quiet parts out loud, right. And so I don't know if he just thought he was supposed to be pretending there was an audience there because he didn't know that it was already public knowledge that there wasn't going to be an audience. But he shambles over to the podium, and I'm just sitting there like, wow, they must not have given him a high enough dose or something. But then, after about 20, 30 minutes in, after he had already made some really, really bad gaffes, I
beat Medicare.
I beat Medicare. Trump, that was one of Trump's best zingers. Yeah, you beat it to death, right? What does that even mean? I beat Medicare. We beat Medicare. What does that mean?
And I don't think it means anything. I think it means that you're a nonsensical person.
That's right. You can't put coherent
you can't
thoughts
complete
together.
your thoughts. No, I've already lost my train of thought twice as we've been talking here.
So, but you're not running the country.
I'm not running the country.
a small
gun
business,
accessory
right?
business. Right. By the way, Taiwan, arm everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to stop China, start arming all of your people.
That's
if
right.
your populace is all armed, history has said that works.
Absolutely. Yeah. Countries with an armed citizenry don't get invaded.
Well, only an armed populace has the ability to self-determinate.
That's right.
And that's a fact.
Yeah. So, I think that what the person said about they hit him with his cocktail, whatever they inject in him or
oral or
now I can be a little snarky at times, maybe more than a little. I'm a pretty snarky, sarcastic person. It's just my nature, I guess. But I commented on X.
Sorry.
I commented on X under the Kudzu Arms name. So,
okay. All right.
That's what you sound like when you have an 8-ball of Coke up your nose, right? Because, he's talking like this the whole time, like he can't breathe. That's why his mouth was open the whole time, right? People were making fun of his mouth. He's every time you see him, he's got his mouth open like that. And that's what I said. Well, it's hard to breathe through your nose when you got an 8-ball of Coke up it, right? Well, they waited too close to time for the debate to start to hit him with his 8-ball or his, speedball, injected whatever they pumped into him, whatever. Right. I doubt it was just like a vitamin B12 shot, right? But whatever they hit him with, they waited too close to time to start because they needed to make sure it would last for an hour and a half. So they said, okay, we'll hit him, 10 minutes before time to start. And then it didn't kick in for like 20, 30 minutes. And so that first 20 minutes was really, really bad. Then he started to pick up. He seemed not okay, but better for about, 20 minutes or so. And then then it wore off. And he started, by the end, I was seriously...
He couldn't even complete his closing thoughts.
I was seriously afraid that he was going to have a medical emergency on the stage. He might have. Did you see the after footage?
No, I told you we had some drama going on. Had to.
Everybody was gone. He was, or was, making their way out.
Right.
It was over, and he's still standing there at the podium, not moving. Jill had to come out and get him, and take him down to meet the moderator. She helped him down the stairs. It's really pitiful. It's very sad. Any other person, it would about make you cry. That look at this poor old man. But it's Biden, so it's hard to feel bad for Biden. But this can even make you feel bad for Biden. How she has to go out there, and he's just standing there at the podium in total confusion, has no clue. You can tell looking at him. He has no clue where he even is. And she goes out there and she gets him and she takes him down to meet the moderators, and he shakes their hands and speaks to him. Then by the time he got out to the spin room, he seemed to be better. I think maybe they hit him with another
little dose there.
But that should be terrifying to all of us.
Yes.
That the leader of the free world has to be dosed up on some kind of pharmaceutical cocktail to even do as well as he did in the debate last night.
Right.
To even be that functional.
Right.
Right. Like we started out, one way you look at it, it's really depressing that this is where our country has come to. That's what I was thinking looking at Biden on the stage last night. This is what America has come to. How in the world did we let the most powerful nation in the history of Earth get to this?
Dishonesty.
That's
how we
right.
get to the point that we are, is with systemic dishonesty.
Absolutely.
And the people that, and unfortunately, you have the most trusting people who are the last to know.
That's right.
That, the most trusting people generally have thought that the antiquated press and the New York Times were still the same quality as 40 years ago. Right. And even then I would argue that they were biased. But since they done a Biden.
Well, that's so in looking at it that way, it's very depressing. looking at it from the perspective of the Trump campaign and the potential for a second Trump presidency, which Trump very well may have been the best president of
Yes.
my adult life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Maybe my lifetime.
Right.
You know, I wasn't for him in the primaries. I wasn't all that excited to go vote for him. I did because I most definitely didn't want Hillary, one of the most evil people to ever be in the public eye.
Right.
I definitely didn't want Hillary. So, you know, I held my nose and I you know, so to speak, pulled the lever for Trump. Okay? But then his presidency made me really proud that I had voted for him. Right? I was very pleasantly surprised at his presidency.
He proved a lot of people wrong.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He was, I mean, there's no way that any objective observer could say anything other than that he was a great president. I mean, he
unless you're on that dishonest left.
Right. That's right. I mean, this is the guy that was able to get the justices in the Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade. And for me, the protection of life, the sanctity of human life, I'm a values voter. And that's my number one value. I will never, ever vote for somebody that is pro-abortion. That's a leftist euphemism right there, right? Pro-choice or it's pro-death. It's pro-murder. You're pro killing innocent human babies, unborn human babies. Okay, I will never ever vote for somebody that thinks it's okay to kill babies. So that's my number one value. And Trump he's the first president to attend the
pro-life rally.
Pro-life
March for Life. Right.
Yeah. First one. It did more for the pro-life movement than any other president that I can think of. Right. I mean, Bush was good pro-life president, but Trump outdid him.
Right.
I looking at it from the prospect of getting a second Trump presidency, it was very encouraging. There's no way that any honest Democrat could have watched that debate last night and come away from that debate shaking the pom-pom for Biden. No way. There's no honest Democrats out today that watched that debate last night that are still carrying signs for Biden. If they are, then they're not honest. Any Democrats you see today that are still rah-rahing for Biden, you know that that's not an honest person. And I've wondered before if there are any honest Democrats. I suppose that there may be.
Yeah, the people who have voted Democrat historically because they have the D are not voting for the same Democrat Party.
That's right.
That used to exist, not that far back.
That's right. You mean Democrats like Vernon Jones? Right.
Right. Or Manchin. He's the last one.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That have looked at the party as it is today, and they've said there's no way I can continue in this party. This isn't me. Right. I mean, this isn't the kind of Democrat I want to be. Right. Now, I would say they're still Democrats, and so I'm not going to run out and vote for them. Right. But at least in the current situation of the Democrat Party, they're honest enough to say, I can't keep going with that. I'm voting Republican, which I'm happy for their vote. I'm happy to have them. I'm not going to support them if they run for anything because, up until yesterday, they were, in favor of all the Democrat policies, the big government, tax and spend Democrat policies. So, I'm not going to just let that go because now they're, jumping over with us on the current Green New Deal and radical critical race theory and gender ideology, and I'm glad that they're honest enough to say, hey, I can't go there, but they're still Democrats.
Well, I mean, also I think that a lot of people aren't aware of how deep into our culture that stuff has managed to to work itself into. Yeah. I mean, who was it? One of the Biden in-laws actually does some of the prints, some of the materials that they use to teach this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, somebody put money into getting all this stuff going. That's doing nothing but destroy. It's cultural and civic poison.
That's right.
That they are pushing, literally. It's
so. Again, any Democrats out today still, towing the line for Biden, saying, "Oh, Biden's the one. Vote Biden." Then you know that that's a Democrat that is in on it. They could care less about the well-being of the country. They are part of the anti-America, bring down the system, Cloward and Piven, Saul Alinsky, radicals. And they're one of the things that's kind of good, encouraging about where we are right now, especially after that debate yesterday, is that now they can't hide.
Right.
Now you can see who they are, clear as day. It's just as clear as Biden was fuddled yesterday.
Well, it was also another thing that was obvious this time around too, was that when before Trump had discussed with the moderators things that had been done to him, the moderators argued and said, no, that's not right. You weren't. There was no coup attempt. Nobody tried to take you down, and that's exactly. And Trump was able to put that out there this time. Without challenge.
That's right.
They didn't come back again this time and say, "No, Mr. President, that's a lie." That's right. They couldn't do that this time. So you have all of these things that are now showing themselves to be true, and the press has been lying the entire time about it, and now it's obvious to, I think, everybody who is intellectually honest that they have been lied to for a long time. He wasn't this bad just yesterday. He's been this bad all along.
Right. Or yeah, I mean, even in the campaign 2016 or 2020 campaign, he was pretty COVID managed to get him elected while hiding in his basement to where
you couldn't see this stuff.
That's right. But now it's almost 4 years later. It's somebody who was already in the early stages of dementia that now is in stage 4 dementia, and it's very, very obvious now. You can't hide it anymore. And so, were you surprised at the moderators?
Yes, I was pleasantly surprised.
On
I can't call them fair because by their own actions, historically speaking, they are certainly not fair.
Right.
But they managed to at least disguise their bias somewhat on this.
They ran a pretty straight debate.
Yes.
Right. They didn't jump in to help Biden. They didn't jump in to kind of override
defeat Trump, which they had done before.
Very, very often, almost every time.
Yes.
Right. And so I was surprised at how straight they were. They would ask the question, and then just let the either Trump or Biden just let them give the talk. Even when Biden wasn't able to fill his time, usually they have to say, especially with Trump, they have to say, okay, that's time. Right. Biden would, mumble something, and then a few times tap her, and I think Dana Bash did it a couple times too. Said, you still have, 48 seconds or whatever. Do you want to,
continue?
And then he would kind of, and he would mumble something, a little extra. But which that exposed how incapable he is of giving a coherent answer, because he's not even able to fill, what was the time, like a minute and a half that they had?
Yeah, whatever, right.
He wasn't even able to fill the time, the allotted time, to give an answer, That's revealing.
Yes.
and they didn't do anything to minimize the impact of that.
Right.
Like I said,
he wasn't thrown a lifeline
right.
this time as readily as it's happened in the past.
Absolutely. They ran a pretty straight debate, I thought. I was really surprised. And there were a few times, I mean, you could see Dana Bash's face where, she was just like, this is horrible. This is... She looked like she was shell-shocked, honestly. And Jake Tapper, a few times when time was up, and he would say, thank you, Mr. President, or, were they referring to Trump as Mr. President? But anyway, when they would end the time,
right.
There were a couple times he came in on Biden to end the time, and he was just like, thank you, Mr. President. Like, that was
yeah,
painful.
I did note some of that reaction.
So I was surprised though at the moderators at how straight they ran the debate.
Well, there was a lot of pressure
on
them this time, and if you look at the powers that be, that perhaps don't want him to continue running,
mm-hmm.
And this bothers me even more, was it a decision to let him fall on his face intentionally?
Right.
Was that...
Well, that's one of the things I was talking about earlier,
right.
Is because today, last night even, right after the debate even, and then this morning, there's big name Democrats and far left publications that are putting out headlines saying it's time to replace Biden. We got to replace Biden. We got to, we've got to have a what's the convention where they nominate somebody at the convention?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a term for not having a nominee by the time you get to the convention,
right.
and have. So they're talking about doing that,
right.
where we
an
open convention, okay,
right.
and saying that they have to do that because right. they can't move forward with Biden after seeing his performance last night, and so that was one of the quote conspiracies I had heard before the debate, is that because people were asking, why are they letting Biden do this? We all know he's not going to be able to do this. Right? So, that was one of the questions. Why are they letting Biden do this?
Because they don't want him to lose.
And so that was one of the things they said, is that the reason they're letting Biden even do this to begin with is to use it as an excuse to replace him on the ticket.
Right.
And so I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, all right, so let's play this out. Do you think he steps down from the presidency and lets Kamala pick up? Because think about that. Theoretically, that she is not going to just yield her presidential aspiration.
Harris?
Yes.
Oh, no.
So,
see, that's part of the problem,
yes.
too, because they would have to come up with an excuse
to not use her.
To replace the first black female vice president from running for president.
Right.
And they definitely don't want her because that should be worse than Hillary.
Well, and the other thing too is that they have to convince her to yield.
That's right.
And this is gonna be her.
I think that's the only reason Biden has lasted as long as he has. I really thought, and I said this, during the 2020 election. Or right after the 2020 election, I seriously thought that they would let Biden stay in for a year, maybe 2 years, and then they would 25th him and replace him. And I still think that the only reason that they didn't do that, maybe a couple of reasons, but one of the main reasons
is
Kamala was the VP. I mean, that was one of the best decisions that Biden ever made, was picking Kamala Harris, because nobody wants her. She didn't even get through the first round of primaries, right?
She got rejected right off the bat,
right out of the gate, and so nobody wants her. So they would have to come up with a way to not just replace him, but to get rid of her too,
right?
And that's more difficult.
Yes,
right?
that's the crux of the problem
right.
that I see,
and that's still the problem.
Right?
How do they replace him, and it not be with her?
Right. And the other thing too is that since it's so obvious that things are like they are, how much pressure is there going to be on him to step down right now?
Right.
I mean, you had the special you had the prosecutor with Biden
Right.
and his classified information, his problem, and they said, well, he's too old and feeble to actually be prosecuted when we don't think that this would work. And then they're like denying it. Oh no, he's sharp at attack. And now it appears as though, well, he's not actually all there.
That's
and
right.
we really couldn't try him with this. So it kind of blows up that entire narrative. So if he's incompetent to stand trial for things that he is obviously, in my opinion, guilty of, where do you go from there?
Mm-hmm. That's it's going to be really difficult for them going forward from here.
Right.
I don't see. They would have to make some kind of deal with Kamala.
Yeah, we'll give you this if you
let
us. Right.
Where Biden steps down, which I heard Michael Knowles this morning saying there's no way Biden steps down. That he's always wanted to be president, and he thinks he deserves it. That it's his time or whatever. And
that's the amazing thing is the gall of these people that think they deserve it.
I know.
Not Claire. Hillary.
Right. Yeah.
Hillary. I mean, she literally believed that
right.
she's supposed to be president,
and had a meltdown. When
yes,
it didn't happen.
and really, and when it didn't,
and it's still melting down.
Yes, he still hasn't accepted.
That's right.
No. It's amazing to think of.
He said that they're not getting out of that. They're not getting him out of there without dragging him out. And I don't want to say everything he said, but they're going to have to drag. They're going to have to remove him. He's not going to willingly resign. They're going to have to remove him, right? And so they would have to work out a deal with Kamala to where when they remove Biden, she says, "Well, I will serve out the remainder of his term, but I have no interest in running. I don't want to be. I don't want to be the nominee." And they say, "Oh no, Kamala. Well, okay, we'll nominate somebody else, right?" And so it doesn't backlash on them that they're throwing the first black, female vice president to the curb, right?
Right.
But I don't know that she would do that.
Yeah. How do you have the possibility of being president?
Right.
What else can be offered?
Right.
Do they just flat out buy her?
Right.
Do you think she's the kind of person that would go for a bribe, literally, just to?
Right. Listen, Joe, Kamala, whatever you do, don't go anywhere or be anywhere at the same time at the same place until after the election. Okay?
And I don't think the problem's coming from our side either.
Not our side.
Not our side. So.
But it's some interesting times that we have come to.
Man, you live in interesting times.
Yeah,
yes,
that's right.
We're definitely exceeding in that area.
Yeah, I would rather them be interesting in a different way, but at least they're interesting. If Trump wins, we have the potential to see a resurgence of traditional American values like never before.
Yes.
Maybe the last time would have been Reagan. Maybe.
Yes.
Because Trump, for all of his faults that you can rightly point out and criticize him over, he did do a lot to uphold traditional family values and to impress the importance of the family and community cohesion and these things that are actually important. He did do a lot.
Yes.
To promote that and to make it easier to experience that. That's one of the things that the left, and you point that out all the time. The left intentionally makes it difficult to express traditional American values.
They shun you.
Absolutely.
You are. So what are they offering in return?
That's the whole point of cancel culture, right? You stand up for traditional American values, we're going to call you racist, we're going to call you bigoted, we're going to call you homophobic, we're going to label you with every horrible label you can think of, and we're going to make sure that you can't get a job, that you can't be heard. We're going to get you kicked off of every social media platform. And with recent developments with X and some Rumble and some other things like that, that's gotten harder for them to do, and people are kind of rebounding against the cancel culture. And now, if Trump gets reelected, that I think that would it at least has a great potential to be the end of cancel culture.
Well, the other thing too, though, is that if Trump isn't elected, it's like 1,000 years of darkness.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're gambling.
Right.
You're gambling against Iran.
Right,
so that's
That's right.
But I mean, it's sad, but it's really that scary.
It is scary. Yeah.
And once again, this is a shock to the people who just found out yesterday that Biden's feeble.
Right.
I mean, they've been telling a whole bunch of lies for a really, really long time.
Yeah, that's right.
And they've managed to get a whole lot of people to believe it.
That's right. And that's a good point too, that if the left can become this unhinged, this far gone from traditional American values, and still win another election after what we've just seen, then we are truly gone as a country, as the America that was founded in the 18th century, 1771.
Right.
That America is truly gone. Now, we talk sometimes about this not being the same country we grew up in, but there's still the foundation that is there that we can bring back, that we can restore. The structure is still there that can be restored. But if the left stays in power, even after all we've seen over this past 4 years, then it is well and truly gone.
Right. Well, the thing is, everybody, it's amazing to me. Once again, this goes back to the dishonesty of the press. They want to talk down nationalism. Nationalism is evil. You can't have nationalism and have a good, fair country. You can't, and it's the exact opposite of that. Right. What the key word is socialist. That's when you start comparing us to Nazis. That is the key word, not nationalist. It's the socialist that's where you get to the problems.
That's right. Yeah. Doesn't nationalist mean you love your nation?
Yes. You are for your nation.
You're patriotic?
Well, in theory.
In theory, yeah, that's right, in theory. Well, we've been going on for some time now.
Pounding this for a while.
Let us know what you thought about the debate yesterday in the comment section, or ask any questions about the undergun or any other firearm-related questions, because Chris is the subject matter expert on those things, and we'll be very happy to answer any of your questions or to demonstrate the assembly of various firearms and the ballistics capability of various rounds. We're geared up to do that, and so let us know what you'd like to see there. And remember, vote Republican.
I'll propose a new word.
Okay.
A new word, and it's a verb.
Yeah.
And it means to lose one train of thought. Like,
right. Yeah.
Right. As in to Biden.
To Biden.
I Biden
that's right.
a couple of times today.
I think we all Biden occasionally, but Biden is Biden.
He was Biden bad.
Bad.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Take care.